I'd like to call the November meeting of the Pitt County Board of Education to order. I'd like to welcome our school board members who are here this evening. Thank you for, again, being a part of our meeting. Everybody is in attendance, and we're looking forward to having a full board meeting in just a few seconds. And then with everybody that's in the audience, we thank you for being a part of our meeting this evening, and as always, we really do thank those that are watching by television as well for being a part of this meeting. So having said all of that, and having called the meeting to order, we'll have a Pledge of Allegiance at this time by Mark Richard, and then a moment of silence by Ward Forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to have our moment of silence, but I would like to say that we're just so thankful so far that we've had a pretty safe year, and that our students have hopefully been engaged, and that our principals have had success, as well as our teachers and staff. We also want to think about our students as well as the parents, that they continue to have a safe year. And we know that we've got holidays coming up shortly, Thanksgiving, and always during the holidays we always want to make sure that, or we ask and pray that they have a safe holiday, an enjoyable holiday. And let's observe a moment of silence. Father, we do thank you for what you do for us. We, dear Lord, thank you for having your hand of protection on our parents, on our students, on the staff. And we just pray, dear Lord, that tomorrow will be a successful day in America, and that you will be with this country. And dear Lord, we're just so thankful that you are all powerful. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Routine business, adjustments to the agenda. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the agenda as written.
Got a motion by Mark and a second by Mildred. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Motion passes. Next, we have a spotlight on teaching and learning. And I suppose if there's ever been a time that we have had a spotlight on teaching and learning, Sean, that I'm more excited about being able to make a presentation, it is this one. Mm-hmm. So before I make that announcement as exactly who it is, I'm going to go over there and get myself prepared and ready for this.
Chairman, when you get ready to present, can others of us join you?
Well, let me share this with you. We're gonna get a picture, and then everybody on this board that wants to take a group shot, we're gonna invite you up, including the superintendent and anybody else that wants. This is a once in a lifetime occasion, I think. So
Absolutely.
okay. It gives me a great deal of pleasure, and I'm so humbled. And I'm going to get through this without shedding a tear, but I really do want to shed a tear. That we're recognizing somebody that, as far as we can tell, has more years with Pitt County, has produced more years and been employed more years by Pitt County Schools than any other employee ever. And this individual has been employed for 54 years. That's documented, y'all. 1962. And she is the secretary at D.H. Conley High School, and she raised me. I went to D.H. Conley, and I took agricultural education and became an ag teacher because of two people. One of those two people was my daddy. And the second individual was Pearl Frizzell, and she said, you can go up there and do it. I didn't think I could. But Miss Frizzell, after I got out of the principal's office for messing somebody up, she came in there and she gave me a pep talk. She said, you going up there to NC State University, behave yourself, and you gonna pass, become an ag teacher. And Miss Frizzell, I did it. It was tough, but I did it. And I want you to come forward at this time, and I want to present you with this certificate. And it's framed. Most of the time, we don't frame certificates. Come on up here.
54 years, you get it framed.
54 years. Come on, Miss Frizzell. And I'm gonna read what it says, and then we're gonna take our time tonight. Do this. Miss Frizzell, turn around because that's where the camera's on. One other thing you taught me, make sure if you see a camera, smile. The Pitt County Board of Education proudly recognizes Pearl Frizzell for creating excellence in the East, presented on November the 7th, 2016. We didn't put 54 years on here because she's going to work 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 14 more. And we just going to keep recognizing you every year, Miss Frizzell, as long as you want us to. So with this, I present you this. Congratulate you from Pitt County Schools, Mary and Sheila. You come on up here too, and let's. Yeah. Take the sticky note off here. And we're going to get a picture. And then we're going to ask the whole board to come forward, okay? Wait a minute, y'all, wait a minute. Oh, Mr. Marr's here too. Thank you, Mr. Marr, for being a part of this.
I'm glad to be here.
You got it, Rob?
Oh, yes, I'm motion.
Oh, okay. Okay, anybody that wants to come up here and get they're taking videos.
Facebook Live,
Here, Sheila, y'all come on back up here. We want to get y'all in this thing too, with the whole board that wants to be a part, anybody that wants to be a part of this.
Can we ask Miss Frizzell something?
Yeah, let's get this picture first.
Yep.
Okay. Miss Frizzell,
She's a Shaw University band.
Miss Frizzell, you make sure you smile. I'm gonna be right behind you, Miss Frizzell. When they tell the finance officer to leave, you know you're coming. He's running the finance office. Okay, that's still video, and thank y'all very much. Ms. Frizzell, we're gonna give you this podium right here, and you can say whatever you want to say, and then Sean and some of the other school board members have something they might want to ask you.
You should have a lot to say after 54
Ms. Frizzell, let me go get back in my position, because I want to hear this real good. Okay? All right.
54 years, you got a whole lot to say.
You got it for as long as you want it. Midnight, we'll be right here.
Mr. Forrest, you said 54 years, but I worked 9 months at G.R. Whitfield, and that would make me have 55 years.
See, I thought it was 55.
Okay.
And I have enjoyed working with Pitt County Schools, and I'd like to thank everyone that's in here that have had a part of me. And I have enjoyed it. And I'm just overwhelmed, and I just full, and I just can't say too much. And I thank you for everything that you've done. And I have enjoyed working with the children, the staff, and everybody at Pitt County School. And all the years that I have worked, I have never had to run in with a student, not a teacher, not administrator. And I am thankful for that.
Amen.
Hey, yeah.
Ms. Frizzell, stay right there just a second. I think Sean.
Miss Frizzell,
I have to say what Miss Frizzell cannot say.
Okay.
I'm her oldest niece, and she promised me if I retire and move back to North Carolina, she was going to retire. That's been 2 years ago. So I said to her, okay, when are you going to retire? I'm here. I'm in North Carolina. It's boring here. And I said, what, why are you waiting? She said to me, I love what I do. And every time I think I'm going to retire, some kids come my way and I can help them. And she said, like Mama taught us, always do what you can to help someone else. And I think that stuck to her. Out of the 10 children that my grandmother had, I think she's most like my grandmother. So I tried to encourage her to stop, retire, rest, and enjoy her retirement. She said, well, the retirement doesn't mean anything to me if I'm not happy. I'm happy working with these children. I'm happy helping someone. I can push a kid to the next level, or I can help correct a kid from his parents. I'm going to stay right here and do that. I said, well, I'm going back to New York. I was retired. But she is a very good aunt. And she is very concerned about all of her nieces and nephews, mostly the nephews. And no matter what situation you get in, she's always there to help. She cries a lot, but after she's finished crying, she'll get up and do what she has to do, because she has a heart of love for everybody, just like my grandmother, never so different in color, race, or creed. Even when my grandmother died in 1983, there was a lot of unfortunate children that used to hang out on the railroad. And my grandmother used to make sure they ate at least one meal a day. She would walk up to that railroad, come down here, boy, and get something to eat. You know you're hungry, all that liquor you're drinking and no food. Come on down here and eat that food. So then after my grandmother passed, everybody was saying, God, we feel so sorry for those kids because Miss Queenie always fed them, always fed them. So then my mother came, Ella, and she was fussing with him. I'm not Queenie. I'm not going to feed you. I'm not going to feed you. Then she wound up doing the same thing. And Pearl would say, well, they have to eat. They need to eat something. She doesn't cook, but she see to it that someone else cook and feed them. She can cook, but she never had to cook, and now she will not cook.
Okay.
So,
excuse me, I'm
that's
sorry.
it. No, I'm finished. I just had to say what she will not say. And I know this because we talked about this before, but she's not a talker. She didn't get that from her mother because her mother was a talker.
I'm a doer.
And yeah, she's a doer.
Yeah.
And I'm the talker. The granddaughter, the oldest granddaughter is the talker. Right?
You're right.
And a doer. I do. I cook.
Ms. Priscilla, there's several board members would like to make a few comments at this time. I think Sean was first, and then Mark, and I saw Walter and Worth and Mildred. So I know there's several that want to do that.
At 55 years, Ms. Frizzell, and I just want to thank you for the person you are. Your kindness is always such a ray of light when you walk in D.H. Conley High School. Every child knows you, and whenever I've had conversation with you, you know every child. That's amazing, but it says something about your character, your work ethic, and whether you realize it or not, when people are around you, they feel good about themselves. And that's a real special gift. And I know you have a good memory, so I do have to ask you this. Mr. Forrest said he had a conversation with you after messing up a student. How small was that kid?
Ms. Priscilla, don't you answer that question.
Thank you, Ms. Frizzell.
Mark?
I just want to say what a real blessing it is to have known Miss Frizzell for a long time. You have never changed a bit. It's like you just never have changed. You have the kindest heart of any person I know of. And I think any person that has ever come in contact with you, you have blessed their lives and enriched them, whether you know it or not. You are just a real special person, and I'm so happy that you are continuing on for as long as I hope you can at D.H. Conley, because you have made that school what it is today. Thank you for all that you do for everyone who comes into contact with you.
Thank you, Mike.
Walter?
I can't say enough about Miss Frizzell. One instance I want to say is, as y'all know, I have a 7-year-old little boy. About 2 or 3 years ago, I decided I'd stop by and see Miss Frizzell. Well, I stopped by, and she's a caring person about your family. She said, well, she always asked me how my children are doing. She said, now what about the little boy? I said, he's on. She said, I tell you what, you go home and get him, and you come back. And so I always knew that if I did not bring Will with me, that I would still have to go home and get him and bring him back. Didn't make no difference. And when he got there, she'd always have some treats for him. And it's just a real special lady that I've got to know over these lot of years. And she's just, I mean, you can't say enough about her and what she does. I know she used to, and I don't know about now, but she used to remember every D.H. Conley by their name. And she knew their name, knew their parents, knew who everyone was. And that takes an amazing, because I can't even remember some of y'all when I get out the door.
I got that from Mr. Offer.
Oh, you did? But she is a very special lady. She cares about you. She cares about your family, your children. She'll always ask about them. She always wants you to bring them by to see her. I did slip in there the other day with Mark Smith, but she's going to get us some water. But I left a note that I did come by and see her for a few minutes. Just one fantastic person that we have up there that works for us. And I hope you last another 55 years. Be honest with you. You can always see Miss Frizzell in that white Buick. Ain't never changed. Same parking place, same everything every day. You go by there, that Buick's in that parking place, you know she's in that school. And she's probably got more sick leave days and vacation days than the whole school system put together.
I have 800.
How many,
Oh, my God.
How many sick leave days you got?
I think I have 872, I believe.
How many?
872.
I think I had that many.
Walter needs to use it for this.
872 sick leave days. That is amazing.
It is.
Somebody has not been out sick.
Thank you, Walter.
I mean, thank you again, Ms. Frizzell, all of you do. And I think that's been a blessing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Walter. Word?
You know, I would always appreciate it as a student, Ms. Frizzell would give you good advice.
That's right.
Good advice. And I remember one time, me and another individual, we were gonna leave school, skip school. So we wrote our own little note. Mr. Caraway was the principal. And I wrote my note at the top, signed my parents. This other individual wrote their note at the top, signed the parents, and then ripped a piece of paper in two. And we knew we had this deal fixed. And next thing I know, we were called to the office. And Miss Frizzell, when you got called to the office, would always talk to you. And she said, look, you get ready to see a smart man in there. And what Mr. Caraway had done was he had looked at that paper, you know, they would look at the ones that were going to leave early, and he put those two pieces of paper back together. And he said, did your parents get together and write this? And we said, no, that didn't happen. So we got in trouble for it. But on the way back out, Miss Frizzell said, now, did y'all learn a lesson? And I said, we're not supposed, if we're gonna write a note to get skip school, don't write it on the same piece. And Miss Frizzell said, that's right.
Mildred?
Okay, well, you saved the best to the last. I'm just teasing. But anyway, congratulations, Mrs. Frizzell, for outstanding longevity being at D.H. Conley. She is a product of Shaw University, the oldest historic black college in the South, 151 years old. And your alma mater will be proud of you. I'm president of the chapter here, and I will be sharing that with the President Tashni and Dubroy of such outstanding accomplishments that you've made. And our motto used to be strives to excellence, why not the best? And you are truly one of the best alumni in Pitt County, and we salute you also as a board member and as a fellow alum. And just congratulations for a job well done.
Here, here.
Thank you.
Does any other board member want to make a comment? If not, let's give Ms. Frizzell a round of applause.
And the new motto is, you are epic. You are EPIC.
Thank you.
That's the new brand for Shaw University.
Ms. Frizzell, you're welcome to come back anytime you want to, and you're welcome to leave anytime you want to. So if you want to stay for the rest of this meeting, you're welcome to, and if you want to go home, that's fine as well, but we appreciate you being here. Thank you again. Public expression, we did not have any, so we'll move on to our consent items for approval. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Got a motion by Worth, second by Mark. Discussion, seeing none, all in favor say aye, all opposed no. Ayes have it, motion passes. Under new business, EPS HR committee update. Mark, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had a very good meeting this evening. We had good discussion on a number of topics. Cheryl, if you want to take over
Okay.
the EPS piece.
Good evening, board members, board chair. We did just finish a meeting, and we had several topics. We shared some data that had not been shared with the performance summary from our strategic plan. The first piece of data we shared was the results from our Fast Forward program at South Greenville. We looked at the number of students that was served and how well they did as far as their testing from in first to third grade. We had the end of grade for Read 3D test at the end of the year, and then we had the beginning of the year after the summer was over. And the results were a little mixed. We had 48% of the students that did not have a summer slide, but then we had 26% and 26% that did lose some ground and gain some ground. We also discussed the some of the issues we had with not real good attendance. We only had 27 students attend in first through third grade. At the time we created and thought about the Fast Forward program, we did not have a requirement from the state to do the summer camps, and so we think that's impacting it. So what we're going to do is go back at this next summer and change some things and allow some things, and then revisit that and see how the data comes out. The second piece of data that we covered was the AVID enrollment. The enrollment has jumped from 13-14 when it was reinstated. We had 226 students enrolled. This year we have 705 students enrolled. We have picked up middle schools and one elementary school. The results are very promising for the number of AP courses. being taken by avid students. In 16-17 this year is up to almost 60 courses. College courses being taken is almost at like 35 or 40, and that's just the 16-17 school year. So we also had some data on the percentages of race and how that's fallen out into our avid and AP courses and stuff, and that is looking extremely promising. So if you want details and stuff, I'll send you the data. The last thing we discussed was credentialing, our credentialing data. We were very proud of that. We had 41.1% of our students that had the opportunity to do credentialing did get credentialed. We beat out Wake County at 9.1%. We beat out, Wake County had 23.1, Charlotte Meck had 9.1. I just thought that was very good. And then all these other counties that's in our affinity group, we have surpassed them in our credentialing too. We went from 3,307 in 14-15 to 3,791 this past year. Very proud of the growth and stuff that we've been making in those three programs and the impact that it's having on our students. We're very proud of that. So those were the three pieces of data that we shared that we had not shared at the performance summary. And so then if there's no questions, I'll turn it over to Dr. Council for the HR update part.
Questions for Cheryl? Okay. Thank you, Cheryl.
Next up was Dr. Council. We presented two items from the HR side. From Dr. Council's office, we looked at EPI. Mr. Buck presented some information about looking at EPI as a possible new facilitator for bringing additional staffing members into the district, particularly for the secondary level. And then, of course, looked at calendar update. With some feedback and comments provided by staff across the district in terms of getting input into their preferences for the calendar, understanding that the largest percentage of the calendar is decided by the legislature from the Save Our Summers bill in terms of the legislative start and end dates for school, as well as the time periods for where specific numbers of holidays must be apportioned, specific numbers of teaching workdays.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Witchard. As you mentioned, we just spoke about in the recent HR committee meeting this evening was about the visiting international faculty that we currently partner with. And with those VIF teachers that are currently at Belvoir and also the occasional Spanish teacher that we have throughout the county, we're hoping to increase those numbers by actually partnering with an additional company called EPI. EPI stands for Educational Partners International. We hope that by partnering with them that we can enter a partnership to bring on more secondary teachers, not just in the core subject areas, but also in the CTE areas, such as carpentry or welding, because when we met with them, they did show us different areas that they have partnered with other school districts in which they've just hired a carpentry teacher. So that was good to hear. And also with special education, that we'll be able to bring on more special education VIF or EPI teachers, as they are called. So we will present the information tomorrow with principals so we can get a feel from them as to what positions they might have available for the 17-18 school year. And by partnering with this company, we hope to increase our diversity across the county because they also pull teachers from France, Ghana, Jamaica, Kenya, and also Singapore. So by partnering with them, again, increasing the diversity of our teaching staff across the district. Any questions?
Okay, questions for Dr. Council? Okay, thank you, Dr. Council.
Okay. Last item was about the 2017-18 draft calendar. With that feedback, if you want to see the exact feedback that we shared with the committee this evening, I have copies of that. There were about 18 or 19 comments that we received, and probably the most pressing of them, which we will take back to the calendar committee to discuss, was about the Veterans Day holiday and the early release, where it is a early release day, but then in the afternoon is a parent, or the parent conferences. And so there were about 6 comments that were made, specific to that. So we felt like that was an item that we need to just go back and revisit, where the calendar committee could discuss it.
Is that everything we want? Okay. Any questions for Dr. Council before we excuse her? Okay, thank you again, Dr. Council. Okay. Consideration of Section 36A1 of State Law 2016-94, Non-Educator Merit Pay Plan. We asked Deborah Baggett to come forward and explain all that to us and what she has to discuss.
Okay, we had discussed the merit-based bonus pay at the October 24th work session. Then we also had an additional meeting that was called on November 2nd at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, where many of you were able to come back and we presented a revised plan. Okay, so basically this bonus is, the state has required us to, it's a bonus that'll be for non-educators. Therefore, it's not for teachers, it's for the other staff within the district. And what the legislation requires is that the local board adopt a policy on how to award the bonuses, that it should be paid, it should not be paid across the board. That was one of their main requirements. The only state-funded personnel are eligible to be paid from the state funds, that the bonus is not subject to retirement, and it's a one-time bonus, so it's not recurring. And then the requirements for the local board is that we present the eligibility requirements, the amount to be awarded, when it will be paid, and then any details related to the bonus. So one thing that the board requested was that we find a way to incorporate not just the state paid employees, but in order to be fair, that we also include anyone that's paid by the district. So we're going to, in this plan, it does include people who are paid through federal, local, and child nutrition positions. So the basis of the plan is basically, for a lot of the people involved, would be the student growth. So it would be dependent on if the school exceeded growth or met growth with a plus or minus standard deviation. For custodial staff, it would depend on their school cleanliness scores, where we have an outside company come in and grade the facilities. Then we also have bus garage, the occupational therapists. Then we've included for this time clerical, maintenance, the bus monitors, the staff at Sadie Salter, and also the child nutrition workers. So the child nutrition program will be able to pick up the funding for those people, and then also local is going to contribute about $66,000, because we've looked at other districts, and one thing is that Pitt County Schools has a lot of locally paid employees, so we are contributing a lot of dollars. Then in essence that turns around that it requires more of us. So we are willing to do that to be equitable for all of the employees. I think that's what the board had requested, that we be fair and not just include the state paid employees. So we're proposing that this would actually be paid in December, and one of the qualifiers is that if someone had a below or unsatisfactory on their most recent evaluation, then they would be disqualified from receiving it. And you'll see the other special conditions there. If you work less than 4 hours, you'd not be eligible. You must have been employed on January 4th through October 31st. And if an employee is out on leave of absence, if they return and are eligible, they would be paid at that time. So at the meeting on the 2nd, they voted to bring it to the full board for approval.
Okay, thank you,
Don't have any
Deb.
questions?
Questions?
I make a motion that we approve Section 36A1 of the State Law 2016-94 Non-Educator Merit-Based Pay Plan.
Second.
Got a motion by Mark, seconded by both Mary and Caroline. Discussion. Walter.
Is there any way, Christmas is not right, it's right around the corner. Is there any way this merit bonus money could be paid, say, the end of this month?
It's going to be paid in the December check is the way that we have it.
That'll be December to what?
It'll be about the 20th.
What I'm saying is, I'm trying to see if we can get a little early so they can do a little Christmas shopping.
Mr. Chairman, can I
Yes, if you may.
The law says that the plan has to be approved by the board. Just about every board in the state's going to have to approve it in their November meeting. If you adjust the payment of it, I don't think there'd be time enough to calculate the payments to get it in this pay period. That's the issue.
It's going to be paid before.
It's going to still be paid before
It'll
Christmas.
be before Christmas.
They'll get it before Christmas.
Yeah.
And they'll know they'll be getting it before Christmas.
Yes.
The ones that'll be receiving it will know that, right, Deborah? Okay.
I just thought maybe we might could give it to them in this month's pay, so they can do a little extra Christmas shopping.
Yeah. It's a great thought, Ward, but I just don't,
It's just not time.
I don't think we just have the capacity to be able to pull that one off.
There's about 1,200 people that'll be
If you
impacted.
pull it
so-
off, I won't ask you about a couple $1 million more.
You better pull it off.
All right, thank you, Walter. Did we have some more questions?
I just want to say one thing.
Okay.
In regards to the finance committee that when we met, we had asked, I talked with Deborah about coming up with a plan, and I'm sure she had more than this, but this was one of her top plans that she presented, and we appreciate all the hard work that you did putting this together along with others that you had helping you. And it was approved unanimously
That's right.
by the finance committee, and we just wanted to make sure that everybody got something.
That's right.
And we just felt that that would help morale throughout our county. So,
And we were
Appreciate it.
honestly shooting for Black Friday.
Thank you, Worth. Caroline?
Yeah, and I think many of us feel that we wish it could be more. We wish it
Yes.
could be recurring, because our hardworking and non-instructional employees deserve more than we can pay them. And more than this, frankly, is basically a token of what we can do to express our appreciation. So, thank you for your hard work and listening to us on more than one occasion and working with all of us, because it was a process.
Thank you, Caroline. Any further discussion before we vote? Everybody ready to vote?
Yes.
All those in favor, let me know by raising your right hand. Thank you. All opposed by the same sign. The motion passes by unanimous vote of 9-0. Thank you, Deborah. We are now in part of our agenda for closing comments. We'll turn first to our superintendent.
First, I would also like to thank Deborah for the work on this. We had, obviously, as you could guess, I don't know how many conversations we had over this over the last 2 months, but it's been a lot, trying to come up with ways to make this basically the most positive that we could come out of this. And she did a great job. We'd go get together and I'd say, could you just tweak it a little bit? And do her little Excel magic, and there it was, tweaked just an hour later. So she did a great job with that. Then also to Matt Johnson and his team, during the hurricane and the times after that, his group was out there every day. Joey Wennington's group was out there every day getting things going on, making sure our buses get out there and rerouting bus routes and having all that ready to go when we got back in school. Travis Lewis for keeping all the communication links open and keeping everything going on. I know those 6 days were long for everybody and for the community, but those guys came well above and beyond to make things work for Pitt County Schools. I appreciate what they've done. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Lincoln. We'll work our way around this way. Mark?
First of all, I want to say thank you all for a great meeting. We do have an election tomorrow. This is an election year. In my 6 years of being on the board, I've counted it as a privilege to work with a lot of good board members, but most importantly, to have had the trust of the people of my district and people all over this county. It's been a real privilege, something that I've never taken for granted. And I just want to thank you all for your trust and your support over the years, and good to be back again.
Thank you, Mark. Sean?
Well, I won't be back again. This will be the last time I make closing comments on this board. It has been an honor to serve. It has been an honor to serve with everyone here, and I wish each and every one of you the best. I wish you all the best in your elections tomorrow, to your families and to the future. I would like to thank everyone with Pitt County Schools for allowing me to serve you. There's no greater honor than service, And to serve the people who I trust with my own children every day is a very special thing. I've heard board members before they leave sometimes go on long soliloquies about all the different accomplishments that has been made. I will say this, out of these 6 years, I can sum up 3 major accomplishments. One, we are a unitary school system. We are no longer under federal orders, facing other lawsuits about that. That's a huge accomplishment. Secondly, we are now a 9-member board. We are more efficient, better representation. And then third, and most important, and by far, in my opinion, this board's biggest accomplishment, we brought the Linkers to town. And we have this ship steered in the right direction. We no longer look backward, we look forward. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Sean. Caroline?
Wipe the tears from my eyes. Wanted to congratulate several teams from Pitt County Schools who participated in the first LEGO League Robotics Tournament at South Central. On Sunday, we had 9 out of 27 teams, 9 schools out of 27 teams. The teams came from Raleigh, Wayne County, Doherty County, private schools, home schools, and 4 of our teams won awards. G.R. Whitfield won for the best robotic mechanical design. Stokes School won for the best teamwork award. Hope Middle for the most innovative solution. And Bethel for gracious professionalism, which is the highest core value that First LEGO League gives. We had our coach for South Greenland Elmhurst, Rebecca Harrison, receive the Outstanding Coach Award, coaching 2 teams. And we had 2 schools, Whitfield and Stokes, who qualified for the state level competition. Only 8 teams qualified for that out of 27. And the alternate was Hope Middle School, and that's going to be in January in Greensboro. It's very exciting to see what used to be 1 or 2 schools participating in regional and statewide robotics, turning out to just incredible students who are so innovative and really grabbing the ball and running with us. Daryl Thomas at E.B. Aycock and his staff were amazing during the flood. They had so many people come into their shelter, and I can't get over the amount of supplies and food and clothes that their staff brought in. I think they went to their churches and families and friends and brought in all kinds of supplies and were incredibly gracious. And his staff even provided the entertainment for children while the parents were applying for aid. And my hat's off to them. And that's just the one school that I'm aware of that was a shelter. It was quite an honor to see them at work.
Thank you, Caroline. Mildred?
Okay, today I had the opportunity of attending Advancing Diverse Pipelines in STEM, Medicine, and Health. And the keynote speaker was Dr. Wayne Frederick, president of Howard University, presented a lecture that was about advancing diverse pipelines in STEM, medicine, and health. And it was an awesome presentation. And the goal of that was to make sure that other institutions tie into Howard, because they are the oldest historic black college and university in the whole United States that's graduating the most doctors today, and they're doing some innovative things in their schools and really trying to get more females and children, period, into STEM at the lower grade levels. And Dr. Frederick has a Bachelor's of Science in Medicine. He was a surgeon and an administrator of Howard. And I was there represented, and our superintendent, Dr. Lincoln, was there, which I thought that was just awesome to hear the history of Howard and what they had done in medicine and how they're reaching out to communities around the United States to engage so that we can have more young people of color involved in STEM. And then the last thing I like to say, tomorrow is Election Day. And all of you out there that's been complaining about what you don't like, you know it's your last day you can make that decision. That is by voting. and voting those spoke out that has been trying to dismantle and has dismantled our public education system big time, has also kept Medicaid expansion from coming into our state, and that's awful. And people that are doctors in houses and things like that and don't support Medicaid expansion needs to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Mildred. Billy?
I'm a volunteer fireman, and during the flood, I had the privilege of calling Dr. Lincoln and telling him that the fire alarm was going off at Wintergreen. He said, well, when did you start getting called? And I heard it through the fire pager, and you know, and it's very, nobody ever, the fire department went back. But what I'm trying to say is, you know, with being on the fire department, you know, you learn a lot, and you know, he thought the volunteers had a key to the schools to get in. And, you know, and we really don't have keys to get in schools. We have access, you know, if we see fire and all. But anyway, long story short, I have really enjoyed being on this board for the last 12 years. I hope I come back, but if I don't, this is my last meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Billy. Walter?
Right.
Well, I didn't have nothing to say last time, but I got something to say this time. Deborah, thank you. I know I gave you a hard time about money. I know I'm gonna still stay at you for that $2 million for Griffin. Cheryl, I know I gave you a hard time on those discipline things, but that's the way I feel. But look, I think you do a wonderful job with the human resources. I really do. Matt, we're not changing, yep, mascot, the cockroaches. And to this board, I really appreciate each and every one of you. I really do. I haven't always agreed with you, and that's okay. But still, I'm gonna miss you, I'll tell you that, up to a certain amount. But it's been fun. Mr. Moore, you have a good time. You know, and you're gonna be sitting up here next board meeting. But I do, I really appreciate everything. Dr. Lincoln, it's been a privilege. It's been a privilege working with you. I have to say I've worked for a lot of superintendents in my tenure with Pitt County Schools, and I think your heart is here with it. I still got your phone number. I know where you live. I know where you live. I know where your office is at. I have a 7-year-old little boy, so. But I want to thank each and every one of you. Mary, me and you ain't never agreed, but it's all right. I still love you. Just remember that. And it's good to have agreement and disagreements. It makes a better board. Well,
Hold on, didn't you just tell me you love me? Well, then you gonna give me the chance to tell you I love you back, unless you ain't mean it.
No. Mary, I'll give you that opportunity just that way.
We're dealing with love here.
Thank you all. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And remember one thing, the kids are the most important ones.
That's right. That's right.
Appreciate it, Walter. I've heard from a lot of people regarding the flood situation and how Pitt County Schools and Matt and Joey and Travis and all of them work together, and the school system work together, and that's where you see where the community really comes together and the school system. And I have not heard anything but positive comments in regards to that. I've enjoyed being on the board. I'm up for re-election. And like Miss Mildred says, some need to go. But I'm one that needs to stay. I'm going to tell you that right
I think she was talking about on the state. I was speaking of the North Carolina General Assembly.
That's why we got y'all sitting on separate sides. Okay, are you through? Okay, thank you, Mary.
Yes. Well, I plan on coming back. I don't know about the rest days. But I want to say, give a huge thank you to our staff, especially north of the river. Maurice Harris at Welcome and Dr. Lana Cato at North Pitt, who opened up the schools for shelter during Hurricane Matthew. I'm also very proud of the conversations that Dr. Linker and I had about the emotional well-being of our students, once they return back to school. And I would like to say thank you to all the crisis intervention team members that were able to pull those things off. I thank you, Matt, and your team for all the hard work that you did to make sure the roads were safe for our children and making sure that, our bus drivers were safe also, and helping with routing and stuff. Travis, thank you so much for the communications, the openings, the updates. You let us know about things like that. And I appreciate all the staff members that went above and beyond, what they needed to do in order to make sure that our kids were properly, and their families were properly treated in a good way, and not having to worry about, school and, being behind, falling behind, those kinds of things. But most of all, I would like to just thank everyone for my privilege of being on the board. I've served for a long time, and I've served diligently and worked on my subcommittees and everything like that, and I enjoy it. I don't have a child in Pitt County schools. I don't have a grandchild in Pitt County school, thank God. But it's been an awesome privilege, and I do plan on coming back.
Okay, thank you, Mary. I'm going to try to keep from duplicating what's already been said this evening, because there's so many things that have been said by the other board members that I would just love to echo. But I want to say this. I'm a product of Pitt County schools. And let me tell you what that means. That means I'm a product of the employees, faculty, and staff, and everybody else associated with it. And my journey through life has been helped by many people in my life. But one of those people was Pearl Frizzell tonight. So I want to thank the board and everybody for us being able to recognize her for that. And let me share what that means. When you get into education, unless you're really, really lucky, the silver and gold is not part of the reward. And you don't even sometimes know when the reward comes until years later, when you find that you have made a difference in the life of a young person or young people. And Pitt County schools and the faculty and the staff have made a tremendous difference in the lives of hundreds of thousands of young people. And I'm one of those. And I just thank Pitt County schools and the employees and people that make it up for that. Having said that, there are 2 or 3 other things that we need to kind of get off our plate very quickly. Number one, we chose not to recognize those that are retiring this evening from the board, because we don't know everybody that will be retiring until after tomorrow. We do know that Sean, you will be, and Walter, you will be, and I'm going to wait and make comments about you two guys until next month, when what I would like to do is to invite everybody back for the recognition of that retirement at that time. And I'm asking Carol if you would make sure that all board members that will be retiring gets, an invitation to come back so we can make our proper recognition at that time, okay? The second thing is, in the December meeting, we will be making a decision about when our January meeting will be, because our regular January meeting falls on a holiday. And the time that we would have our second meeting is going to be right in the middle of Board 101 that several individuals of our board will be going to in Raleigh. So please come prepared. Be looking at your calendar. We're going to throw a couple of dates out there at you to consider, but come prepared to make that decision as well. And then the third thing is I do want to say a little bit about the pay plan. I'm very, very proud of the pay plan because we were for bonuses, because we were put in a hard place in trying to decide how we figure out to be very, very fair to as many people as possible. And that initiated with a work session. And I just want everybody to understand that in work sessions, that's exactly what they are. Our staff, and we thank you so much for bringing us that information, and then we take that information and, massage it and work together in trying to figure out the fairest way possible to provide the thank you that you so well deserve. And so I want to thank everybody involved with that, and I want to thank the board for this evening for acknowledging all of that into this plan, which I think we are recognizing it in the fairest possible way possible. Over $100,000 of this money is being put in by local money, by Pitt County Schools local money itself. So I think that's a big acknowledgement there. And then the last thing again is I hope everybody will go home this evening. When you go to bed, make sure you say a special prayer, because tomorrow is a very, very crucial day in the life of Pitt County, the state of North Carolina, and our nation. And so pray unceasing about the results that come about because of that. Having said all of that, I am through at this time, and I ask our Vice Chair, Mary, if you would, to make our motion.
I make a motion that we go into closed session.
Got a motion to go in closed session. You're going to have to state it a little bit more than that for that.
No, you don't have to show me. I got it up here.
Okay.
We make a motion to go into closed session pursuant of General Statute 43.3, 18.11 for the following purposes. Under subsection A3, to consult with our attorney to consider and give instructions concerning a potential or actual claim, administrative procedure, or judicial action.
Okay, got the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Ayes have it. We're now in closed session. There we go, back.
Oh, yeah.
Sean, go ahead. We got permission to move.
Mr. Chair, for the very last time,
Okay.
I move we adjourn.
Got a motion
Second.
and a second by word. All in favor, let me know by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it. We are adjourned.